We're recording as well. The stream is
Yeah,
live.
cool. We're live.
All right. Welcome everyone to XUSD AMA with myself, Nicky, and John, our lead developer. How are you, John?
I'm doing good, man. How about yourself?
Doing pretty okay. It's a bit cold in this garage here, but other than that, I'm I'm doing fine.
Nice.
February February is cold.
Yeah, it's
Um,
like getting cold for once here, which I don't know what's going on with the weather.
oh really? Man.
Should be much colder. There's still like no
Hmm.
snow on the ground.
Oh really? That's interesting for where you are.
Yeah,
Cool. Well, um, there's not a lot of people already online, but what I want to say is that I'm gonna keep an eye on the chat and see if there are any questions over there. And I'm also going to keep an eye on just our normal um, Telegram chat to see if people are talking there and if I pick up any questions there, um,
sure.
so that we can, you know, see if some things pick up. But I do have my own questions as well. Like,
Yeah,
I recently saw that you launched a Vibe token.
yes.
So I definitely am going to ask you about that. But maybe I should first, just give you the opportunity to speak about whatever you wish to speak about. So,
Right. Well, yeah. I guess we'll just talk about the vibes token. Um.
yeah, cool.
So yeah, like the vibes token, we it's kind of it's just like a last minute call or last second kind of dealio. With the whole pump tires thing going off right now, people, I don't know, it's causing a lot of hype, and there's a lot of, I mean, you can tell even within the gas usage of the chain, it's been ridiculous, and that is mainly because of the pump tire pump fun fork, if you want to call it that, or I
Yeah,
guess it is
yeah,
that.
tell me about that. What is that? Where does it come from?
Right.
How are we involved? Um,
Right. So Pump Fun is, well, what a Pump Tire is a fork of Pump Fun, and what it is that it is a way. It's like a meme token launch pad. So what you do is you can create a token, and you are actually able to be like the first buyer in on it if you're the developer when you launch it. And then you have other people buy and sell the token on the sites. Now it's based on a bonding curve, so that means that every buy after the previous buy will change the price like it is like a normal trading LP token, but it's not in liquidity yet. It's on a contract. So you buy and sell from the
right.
contract on a bonding curve. That's what it's called. And then once it graduates or bonds out, essentially, so once it reaches the max level or whatever, all the pulse that has been sent to the contract to purchase the token is then made in liquidity with the rest of the token that's remaining in the contract. And then the liquidity pool is tokens are burned. So it creates a way to kind of safely launch a token in a way. Now, you could, as the developer of the token, when you're launching it, have like a huge buy-in and then just dump it right away after a few buys come in. There is a 1% tax on the contract itself when you're buying and selling, so it kind of deters that a little bit, not a whole lot. Um, but yeah, it's kind of like it's a safe way that you know you're not. I mean, I guess you could kind of get rug pulled, but it's not going to be like a liquidity rug pull kind of thing. So what
Right. That is the
happens?
safe
Yeah,
part.
right. Yeah. So it's an interesting way to create safe-ish launches, I guess you could say. There's
Hmm.
always going to be somebody who snipes it and gets a bunch of tokens or whatever, and stuff like that. Other things you need to do your own research about, but the main liquidity though won't be able to be pulled, and that is important. So it creates a semi-safe environment for normal people to just launch a token. You don't even have to be a developer to do it at all. It's really easy to do, and it causes a lot of hype, as you've seen recently. There's been like a lot of tokens kind of just launching crazily off of it. Like it's increased the gas price like tenfold
Oh yeah.
almost on chain. And it's cool too because it also burns Pulse token as well. So that 1% tax kind of thing on the contract trading also ends up burning Pulse. So the
Okay.
amount, yeah, so the amount of Pulse that has been burned so far from that has been kind of ridiculous. Um, so yeah, it's an interesting concept. It's I think half of the battle though, because like meme coin launch pads have been a thing for a little while. I don't know, I've seen them all over the place. I think the main
Mhm.
concept that really kind of takes off with it is the bonding token aspect, and the bonding curve, the burn liquidity, and then also the front end is key because it like flashes whenever somebody buys like a certain token. So like you're like, oh, hype on it kind of thing, and it gets you
That
to like ape
works.
into it. Yeah, so I think the front end actually has a huge aspect to it. But yeah, it's interesting.
Pretty cool. So you launched that Vibe token then,
Mhm. Yes, I
and
did.
then after you launched it and after you got enough buys to actually form that liquidity, as you just explained, you created a Vibe XUSD liquidity pool to put them on our trading site,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
So what I did, because I have the first buy-in on the token, and I do notice that there are like people who snap the token kind of thing, or not our token, but like other tokens. So I
Hmm.
tried to figure out a way to get around people sniping up like 2% of the supply kind of thing right away, so that it doesn't create future
Of the Vibe
dumps.
token. Of
Yes,
the
the
Vibe
Vibe
token, you
token launched on Pump
mean.
Fun or Pump Tire. Um, and
Yeah.
so I was able to when I did do the first buy or whatever, I did a fairly large amount, so I got like 10% of the token. Um,
Hmm.
and um, and then with that 10% of the token, after it bonded out, I made liquidity with XUSD and then burned the liquidity. So I just sent that also that liquidity pair that I made to the burn
Okay.
address. So that
Yeah.
10% is off or not off the market. It's on the market permanently, but it's not dumpable, I guess you could say.
Yeah. Yeah, and
So
for
it's
people who don't understand that concept, it was a pretty new concept last time you explained it to me. So, what that means is that the LP gets sent to the null address, so that gets burned, but that doesn't mean it's gone. That means that it's just eternally there, so that LP can be accessed even though it is no longer owned by anyone. It's basically owned by everyone because of this, right?
right. Yeah, correct. And so yeah, so that it doesn't permanently burn the token, but it puts it in liquidity permanently. So yeah, it
Yeah.
puts it on or in supply permanently.
Nobody can break that liquidity ever.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And it's cool
Okay. So,
concept. So it's cool because like that's just like one aspect of the whole launch. Um
mhm,
the making of the liquidity pool for XUSD through trading or the pumping of the token, because people go crazy over meme tokens, just in general,
mhm,
will actually end up burning XUSD as well because there will be a lot of trades through that pair through arbitrage,
mhm.
and just trading in general. Hence why I also added it to the trading rewards pair so that we could keep trading through that pair, and also added it to the vaults to get more
Yeah.
rewards. And then also on top of
Okay.
that, with the token itself, I had added a vibe class to the system so that for every 1 million of the vibe tokens that you hold, you get a reduction in vibes, or so you get good vibes so you get 5 good vibes for every 1 million token that you hold. Now, if you put the token in LP and put it in the vault, those will still get
Mhm.
counted for it because the calculation takes that
Ah,
into consideration and calculates how many vibes are in that LP. So if you have
right.
a bunch in the LP, it'll still count. So you don't just have to
Mhm.
hold the token itself; it'll still count in the vaults, in the vault contract itself. And
Right.
interestingly, as the token either pumps or dumps, the amount in LP will always change. So your vibe score can kind of change too. So like if it ends up dumping a lot, your vibes will go down essentially because you'll collect more of the token itself.
Yeah, because okay, so to explain that once again, like I get it. The fact that if the token gets dumped, a lot of people sell their vibes, so that means that the LP will have more vibes per XUSD. And then if you then have the LP and your vibes in it will get counted, that means you have this, and you say your vibes will go down. But now it's getting difficult because
Yeah.
the vibes of your vibe score goes down when you have more vibe token. It's all
Right.
vibes, man. So
Yeah.
the raising of your vibe token makes your vibe score go down.
Yep.
Okay.
And
Um,
the inverse is true too. So if it pumps, your vibe score will actually go up because you'll have less vibes in the LP.
yeah.
But I
Okay.
mean,
So
you'll also take
normally you have this vibe score, which is wallet specific,
yes.
and that gets countered by this vibe token, basically. So your vibe score goes up if you do bad things like sell XUSD. Bad,
Mhm.
don't do that. But if you do sell XUSD, your vibe score goes up. But if you do have a lot of vibe token, your vibe score goes down again.
Right.
That's pretty cool. So the idea then, if you have that LP, and if you, for example, feel that, oh well, I have this LP and I've got vibe token in the LP, but a lot of people buy that vibe token, then basically the vibe token in the LP gets less
Yes.
per XUSD, and you might want to, I don't know, break the LP and sell your vibe token again, and just buy XUSD from it or something.
Yeah.
Because that
You could.
also reduces
Right. It will.
your vibe
Yeah.
score.
That in the end will reduce your vibes as well. It'll
Yeah,
kind of bring it back. Yeah. It's an interesting play. But also
yeah,
like the vaults itself right now, I think the APRs are like 1.5% daily. So
mhm,
like that essentially would counter, or I mean, I don't know, there's a lot of pros to it. Because get pump, your
yeah,
vibe score will kind of go up a little bit, but then also you're gaining more of the token too through the vaults as well as it compounding with like a
yeah,
1.5% daily APR. So it
yeah,
might even out actually. It all depends on how hard the token pumps. Um, but yeah,
yeah. That's pretty cool. Like it's nice that you have this counterweight system where even if the token you just bought and you have, even if it dumps, but because you have it in LP, that actually means that you have more of it, and therefore you still are in sort of a profit because I mean you will have less tax trading XUSD. That's awesome, man. I was really wondering like what how you would um, take a meme token and then pull that meme token into the protocol because the meme token itself doesn't really do anything, but you count it anyway. You make the contract count it, and that's what
yeah,
it does.
exactly. And like, so
That,
it's also a really great way to showcase the power of the XUSD Vibe class system itself, because it can
hmm
just take any ordinary meme token and give it a utility that's actually worthwhile and that actually means
yeah,
something that would actually get people to hold it. So, like, for example, um, I'm kind of like trying to figure out a way of how to incorporate other people's meme tokens to do the same kind of system. I guess it would be just through the vibe class, through the voting aspect of it. Like they would have to be voted in to be like, hey, we all like this token. We want to have reduced vibes for it. So we make the
yeah,
proposal for that and vote that in, kind of thing. So it's an
yeah,
example of doing something like that. I've also kind of played with the idea of either having anybody add their token to the Vibe class system, but it would cost them like 50K XUSD to do so, type of thing, and like all that would go to Burns. And like there's other kind of theories or ideas that we've been kind of tossing around of how to do something like that too. The most simplest one would be just for the community to propose and vote it. That's originally how it was designed, and
yeah.
I think that could work too.
Well, um, at the moment, 50K XUSD isn't worth like that's something that people can pay, right? um, this will change, of course, if we do reach our intended number of $1 per XUSD.
Right, like, that would be
So
a
I
significant price.
yeah, exactly.
So, like, it
So
would
the question is
it could
like
be like a yeah. It could be like a mixture of both,
right now,
you can either get voted
yeah,
in or you can pay 50 grand to get in kinda thing.
yeah, exactly. Because right now I would say 50K XUSD, that's cheap for if it basically you access a larger community by putting your token in with XUSD in this way, and that would be a very interesting play for developers that want to portray their token to more people. So
Right,
right now that's actually a cheap thing, but 50K in the future gonna be really expensive.
would be.
I personally would stick with the voting, but
Right.
but both are good systems. They are good ideas.
Right,
Cool,
yeah, because
man.
I've been thinking about how to also, like, incorporate, more ways because the whole point of the XUSD token in the end is to have, like, a utility in a way that is similar to, like, your grocery store. Like, you
Mhm,
have to use the token to, like, pay for something, to barter, essentially, and both parties should end up with, something they want in the end kinda thing. Like, just what a
mhm,
normal trade essentially is. So like, to pay for goods at a grocery store, you would pay in, whatever your currency is, and you get the good, you're both happy kind of thing. So I've
mhm.
been trying to think
Yes.
of ways to incorporate more of that because we're going to start heading down that path anyways. So like for
Mhm.
example, I was thinking of adding a charge to change your username on your bypass. Like it'd be like a maybe like a
Yeah,
300
true.
XUSD charge just to change your username instead of it being for free right now, kind of thing. And just like little simple things like that, because then it primes the
Yeah.
community and people using the token that that's what you do with it instead of just normally trading it.
And you know what also really, really matters some people really like bragging rights. So if you can change your username every day by paying, a couple of hundred XUSD, then some people will just do it because of that reason. If they
Yeah,
can display
exactly,
it.
exactly. Like you can do that and have like a leaderboard and have your name showing
Yeah.
everywhere, type of thing. Yeah,
Who
it's
changed their name the most often?
right, right. And like if a good example of it is like what was it? Microsoft Live. They always charge for you to change your username. And people do it all the time. And
Mhm.
so like I know for the PlayStation Network, which I was mostly gaming on, like you could just do it for free. So we're like, haha, cool. And like, but if you join a clan or whatever and you need to change your user tag to include the clan name in it, you have to pay some money to do it. So
That makes sense. Yeah,
right.
that makes a lot of sense. We don't really have XUSD clans yet, do we?
No, not yet.
So, so when's the first game coming out? Oh man,
Right.
that takes me back. I once was in a StarCraft clan, like StarCraft One. Like I'm that old. But anyway, it's pretty cool, man. It's a very nice system, and it's a very nice display as well of this system. I think you're doing some cool and innovative stuff. Um, and you mentioned grocery stores. I did hear a bit of a rumor about there perhaps being some future marketplace. Do you know anything about that, or do you wish to
Yeah,
tell anything
so
about that?
Love.io essentially they have their own like marketplace in a way and that their token is integrated in.
Hmm.
So
Yes.
Anders has other connections to other people who are essentially doing the same thing. So a real life
Yeah.
marketplace doing real life goods and stuff like that. The idea would be
Hmm.
to get that integrated into their system as well. Um, and so like you can even look at like an NFT marketplace as a
Yeah.
marketplace. Um, I personally am shooting for real life goods and making Amazon XUSD. That's how most currencies work. I think that would be the best option.
Yeah.
And like, even the courier or whatever who receives the token, um, it's not like it all has to be burned kind of thing. It burns on the transfer itself. So
Yeah.
that gives it like a normal tax kind of utility. And then if the courier, let's say, owns a bypass, they can then get like a rebate from that in a way. So it's the
Basically, everybody
system.
gets a rebate. It's sort
Right.
of like a community where those who did the most for the community get the most back when the token actually gets used. That's basically what it is, right? Because
Yeah, exactly.
if you already burned a lot and you have a high burn score on your fight pass, then you get a lot from other people using the token. That's basically what it is. So if there's a courier or a shop owner and they transact a lot, then they basically give to the people who already gave a lot. But because they themselves are then transacting a lot, they will also start being one of those people. So
Yep.
it's actually a very nice system. The people who trade the most will then actually be the recipient of those positive things. Um, it's pretty cool. It's pretty nice.
Yeah.
I was
Like I was
wondering for yeah, go ahead.
I was also just talking with our other dev about the whole bypass and delegating it to contracts. So, like, if you're a developer and you
Hmm.
make a contract that burns a token, how we are going to facilitate delegating those to said contracts so that they can essentially claim the burns that that contract has produced. And this gives an effect of that. Incentivize builders to build with the token because then they get more seigniorage rewards. And more builders equals more utility equals more burning of the token equals better peg maintenance kind of thing.
Yeah,
So there's that aspect too that we've been kind of today we've been like really figuring out and nailing down like the best approach to that in the most streamlined way and most gas effective way of doing that. So yeah,
you've been
we've been
talking about that with that developer, uh,
yeah with Constantine
or
today actually just like
with Constantine.
20 minutes ago.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, nice, nice. Constantine is your colleague, right? For those people who don't
Yes.
know. Um, okay, that's pretty cool. So actually, you're in this way, you are incentivizing people to create marketplaces as well, because they will
Yeah.
then benefit because of this. So you incentivize others to start using XUSD as their main token for trade. Beautiful. What do you think is necessary for the token to achieve before it would make like proper sense for it to be used in a marketplace? And what I mean by that is, right now we are very volatile. The price
Mhm.
goes up and down. Um, I don't know if I want to buy something like a real world thing, like I don't know why a cucumber pops up in my head, but what if I want to buy a cucumber, right? Right now, that would be about um, how much would that be? 5,000 XUSD or so for a cucumber? No, it's
Actually,
no.
I
Wait, that's a
imagine
very
it
more like
actually, I
500.
would imagine the price of the cucumber to be, what it is, not in USD value, but it would be in XUSD value. So
Yeah,
it would
that was
be
my
5
point.
XUSD always, not, fluctuate with the price. It has to stay the same, because if we're charging in like USD per se, and we're matching
Hmm.
that price to the amount that is in XUSD, that means that we're not the currency, USD is the currency. And
Yeah.
so if the price stays the same, if it's just always 5 XUSD with the price, if we're at peg and it's 5 XUSD and the price of XUSD dumps to like 0.95, that cucumber is going to be cheaper to obtain. Um,
Yes.
and it'll be more expensive that the price goes up. So the price of goods should not change the price per se, but it would be like the USD when inflation happens, everything else kind of goes
Hmm.
up in price, and it's the same kind of effect. Just looking at it almost um, on the other end or backwards kind of thing. I guess I
Hmm.
don't know. But yeah, no, I strongly believe that the price of the goods, well, I guess over time the price of the goods will change to maybe I don't know if it would in this case battle inflation, if you will. I guess it would, if we're pegged to one USD, then it would be to battle the USD inflation. I guess not the
Sure.
inflation of XUSD itself. But yeah, I'm not an economist in that regard, so I don't know
Are you
exactly.
talk
But
before we
yeah,
go on about this, are you talking about price inflation or proper inflation? Like, are you
um,
supply inflation?
uh, price inflation of
Price
USD.
inflation, okay.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, of
Yeah.
USD
So
itself,
so
because what we're
XUSD
pegging it
can
so.
become more expensive and cheaper based on how many people would want to have XUSD, but that would then come into relation with the goods that you can buy with XUSD, basically like a country does it. We would
Yeah.
The community would then basically become sort of a country, which is very cool, very interesting, because that's how countries do it. Like, hey, you can buy your whatever you want here. Like, I'm from the Netherlands, so we use euros here, and if you want to buy our stroopwafels, you have to pay them with euros.
Mhm.
And that means that if the euro gets more expensive, then if you're from the US, your stroopwafels become more expensive.
Right.
Um, and that would be the same then with XUSD. But that was actually my question. Like, where do you want XUSD to be before you would want to enter such a system? Because if, for example, we say, hey, we want to start that now, and every cucumber is 5 XUSD, then someone is going to give a lot of cucumbers away for too little money.
Right.
Or the other way around, if we say 500, or then eventually we're going to have very expensive cucumbers. By the way,
Right.
4 out of 5 gave us a picture of some cucumbers he's already selling.
Yeah, I see it. But yeah, no, in that regard, even if like there's a marketplace now, obviously the marketplace is gonna price it to what they think is worthwhile.
Mhm.
Um,
All right.
and so, then it would be essentially like, as the price of XUSD does go up, then they will drop the price of how many XUSD that the cucumber would cost so that they make their ends meet. But I think this is
Mhm.
more also on like the front end side of the thing. So it's not
Mhm.
like I want you to, or it's not like I want to purchase this XUSD with $5 worth of XUSD. It's just I want to purchase it with 500 XUSD kind of thing. So it's more of a mentality of not comparing it with the other currency,
Yeah.
but as in just using it as the currency kind of thing. Because
Yeah.
we don't when I buy those waffles, I don't think about the price of the euro at all. I just think about how much USD I have to spend for it if I'm in America, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, and
Yeah.
so
Exactly.
it's kind of like that because I know
Uh,
there's like a lot of websites that accept crypto, but like it's always based on like, oh, send $500 worth of Bitcoin. And so
mhm.
then the Bitcoin number changes all the time. So
Yeah.
I think we need to move away from that kind of ideology, I guess. And just be like,
Well, it may eventually be a good idea to move away from these fiat currencies entirely. I mean, that is
right,
basically what we're doing, right? We are
yeah,
experimenting until we have a working new financial system, especially here on the Pulse chain, which is kind
hmm
of like the rebel chain of them all.
it
But
is,
not just on the pulse chain. It's the entirety of crypto. Um, a lot of the people who are there originally have these ideals of moving away from these central banks and stuff. So I really like this effort in thinking towards that goal, because I mean, it's weird that some people get to create money and nobody else does, right? And that,
yeah.
uh,
And like,
and
Bitcoin was first founded because of the economy crash in like 2006 or whenever. Like it was used to be like, hey, the system is
in
not
the
working. We need
2008,
something else
yeah,
to fight inflation that's not inflationary and it kind of breaks away from essentially something that's not backed by anything. That's just kind of, we just believe the
magic
price of
internet
one
money,
USD is one USD.
yeah. Yeah, it's nice. But and this is what but this is the thing, right? As soon as you start buying something real world with it, like a product that you have created that you've worked for, it's different from an NFT that you might also have worked for, but it is then digital and more easy to copy it or to mint it or whatever. So if, for example, you still have to buy it, staying with the cucumbers, if you still have to buy your soil or even your water, if you buy that, to or the greenhouse that you put them in, and you
or to pay
cannot
your rent.
buy, yeah, or to pay your rent,
And I
then
do think
the
it's going to take
problem is
some
that you,
time. I do think it will take
yeah,
a lot of time
that's what
before
I
that's
mean.
like an actuality, in that
Yeah,
regard. Um,
but smaller
and
things
regulations kind of
might
have
be
to
able
kind of
to.
come in to make it a little bit more easier
Yeah,
too. Um, but
damn
like,
regulations again.
yeah,
Huh?
like I think, I think, I do think it is on the horizon. Like,
Yeah,
when I was in school, we were talking about Bitcoin, and it was worthless at the time, absolutely worthless. And we're like, oh, one day it might be worth $1. And look at it
yeah,
now. So I might
yeah.
be saying, like, I don't see that happening until maybe 15 years from now. But who knows? It might be within three. I
You
honestly
know,
never thought Bitcoin would even be worth $1 in my lifetime, to be honest. At that time, it just
oh,
didn't seem like it was even possible. And then it's out like
but you
100K
should have
now.
bought $10 worth.
Yeah, I was actually setting up a mining rig at that time and never turned it on.
Mm. Oh
But
no! You have a similar story. Like I had a friend who sold his Bitcoin to buy a hamburger, and then I asked like, how much is it worth? And he said, yeah, about €2 50. And then I was like, oh well, maybe then I should just spend €25 to buy some, to buy 10 of them or whatever. And then uh, I was about to do that, and then I completely forgot about it. I'm so sorry. That
right.
happens.
No, it was the same. It was the same thing for me. Like I was gonna start my mining rig, and then I ended up in Colorado in the woods and got a job there, and just didn't come home. So I completely forgot about it. And like 2 years later, I
Yeah.
saw on like a storefront somebody was like accepting Bitcoin. I was like, damn it! It's like too late.
Damn. Damn.
Little did I know, it was definitely not too late even then.
Yeah. Hey, I was wondering, so this no wait, that goes a bit far. I was wondering like if you can use LP tokens as their own thing and mix it in with stuff, but let I'm getting carried away in theory. Um
Oh, but to
no,
kind of finish actually the last question about when I think XUSD would be ready for like a marketplace or stuff like that. Um,
it's a good one, yeah.
I think it will take XUSD token itself to be almost completely finished in a developer sense. So the government governance up and running, the minting protocol kind of like up and running, and everything to a point where it is, completely done in a way. I think before that aspect can happen. And
Yeah.
like right now, I see us in like as like a beta or even alpha phase kind of thing of the protocol itself, as we're constantly building things around it and
Hmm.
learning from other different scenarios or interactions that happen with the token itself, so that we can better include more um, permanent solutions for things. Like for
Yeah.
example, identifying when a token is being bought or sold. Um, we currently identified that it's an LP token through some stuff, but in the future we may just change that to be like if the token is going to the original sender's address or going away from it, as in just being a buy and sell kind of thing. Because the current solution is it works, but it's still not foolproof. Meaning, if you add liquidity to the balancer um, pools or whatever, it won't register it as a buy or sell because it's picking it up as a V2 liquidity currently. Whereas if it's just going to like the TX origin or the original sender itself or whatever, um, or going away from that address or to the address, you can say that is a buy or that is a sell and reduce the vibes accordingly or increase the vibes accordingly, kind of thing. So we are like picking up little things and really focusing in on like, will this work 100 years from now, kind of thing. So I think when it's all like kind of said and done and we have all those kind of like bits and pieces figured out and fully implemented, then I think
Mhm.
real world marketplaces would be a thing. That being said, an NFT marketplace or like casino contracts and stuff like that, that's purely DeFi, I think would be
That's
much more
easier.
sooner. Yeah, and much more sooner and easier to accommodate. But to be accepted as like a real world type of thing, it would need to be solid and foolproof, I guess. Not foolproof, but just completely solid and done and fully decentralized at that point.
Well, yeah, I agree on that, that it should be fully decentralized, but actually I feel that as soon as it actually reaches the normal and starts its amplitude around that normal, I think it would already be viable. That's my prediction.
All
But
right,
maybe I'm a bit more optimistic. And then it can still be under development. It doesn't like as
right.
just as soon as we reach back or pack.
I'm just
Yes.
very critical about it. I mean,
You should be. You're the
right,
creator. I mean, that's logical. Whenever I write something, I'm also very critical of my own work. But other people can, can tell you that you've done well, and I think you're doing a great thing. Ben Owens is saying, "I hope all is well across the world." Yeah, me too, man. I'm
yes,
not
it
sure
is.
of it, but I do hope it's. Praise is wishing us a good evening, and
Yeah, no, it's
um,
great over here.
and
My mom's actually
y-
coming and visiting me, here
oh
next
yeah,
week. Yeah, so she'll be out
oh
here.
man,
Yeah, that'll be cool.
that's very nice.
Mhm.
That's very nice. Um, yeah, it's always nice, to meet your family. Um, and
Yeah, it's been a while.
Music M7 is happy that it still gets counted and thought our explanation made sense. And that brings me to the question, does anyone have a question? Because we've been talking for about 40 minutes now, and it's been a lot of fun, at least on my side. Um, but does anyone have a question? Like, is there anything that needs to be discussed? Oh, wait, I got one from someone at some point. Um, there we go. That was DigiBlue. Um, that was actually about the newer Vibe Pass, so that might be a good thing as well. He said, a question for the AMA. At the end of the announcement, it states that we will get the new pass when packed to $1. It also states we will get them next week. Are you referring to the pass alone or that XUSD should be packed by next week also? Well, I replied because he misunderstood. Um, I said that you would get your XUSD share via the new Vibe Pass when XUSD is overpack, but you will get your Vibe Pass next week, or at least if that's still the scope. Is it, John?
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting because the new Revive Pass incorporates delegations to contracts and stuff like that for our
Yeah,
future
yeah, maybe
expansion
start
for other
with what was
developers.
the reason that you created the newer Vibe Pass so that
Well,
we
the
can
current Vive Pass is
follow your
like,
thinking.
so I forked the current Vive Pass NFT standard or whatever, so that it would be like accepted on most marketplaces or just so it kind of conforms with the NFT kind of standard. Um, and so actually, music. I think I already registered your Vive Pass for you. If it's still spinning or whatever, just let me know and I'll do that after the stream. But I know I just registered one like 10 minutes ago. So the new Revive passes will actually register themselves automatically when you mint it, kind of thing, and stuff like that too. Um,
That's a good
but like,
example, actually. So you don't have to
yeah,
do it manually. Good.
yeah, exactly. Because it's so like the main reason why like have to do it manually now is because the contract that I forked, even though it was from like a very reputable NFT company or whatever, like like it's weird. Like the total supply says that it's one less than the actual total supply. And so that's bugging out when it's going to like to have somebody else register it. And so like it's just like why? How does it even like I have no idea how it even like does that. So it's just weird. So that's like one of the main reasons. But like also the other main reason is to incorporate more of the delegation process and whatnot into it. And
Yeah.
we've had it completed for like about a week now or so. But
Hmm.
luckily, like we haven't pushed it out yet because there's still other little things that come up like, oh, did we think about doing this with it or doing this with it? Like just 10 minutes ago, actually, or before our stream, 10 minutes before our stream, we came up with like another solution for when delegating the bypass to a contract and need to incorporate that into it. So it's good that we like let it sit for a little bit and then ponder like, do we have everything kind of thing.
So
um
the newer Five Pass will be there next month, or
it should be ready here pretty soon, to be honest, probably like within
okay.
next week because
If you
the
keep
bypasses
adding things.
themselves. Right. The bypasses themselves should be pretty simple in regards. Like all it should do is register to start occurring burns, and
Mhm.
then be able to delegate two different delegations. One to delegate to a contract to then have the contract record the burns instead of the owner of the bypass, but the delegated or a delegated contract. And then also there's another delegation to receive the rewards. So not just that the owner, so the owner could essentially delegate either another owner or another contract to receive the rewards from when we're over peg. Now, the
Okay.
reason or idea behind that is let's say we create a lending platform where you can lend out the NFTs and delegate the rewards to the lending platform itself, and you take a loan against it. Now, this would
Right.
make it so that it's a self-healing debt, that it will repay itself back essentially over time with rewards as we're overpeg. So we're
Yes.
including aspects like that into it. And it's pretty much done in that regard. But we were thinking about like, wait a second, like do we how do we know that the person delegating the bypass to the contract is the creator of the contract kind of thing?
Hmm.
And so then like we're essentially just using the simple owners whatever aspect of the contracts or like so open zeppelin creates an ownable contract, which means that like the owner of the contract is stored as like that address, and so that address will have to match the holder or the owner of the NFT as well to then it be delegated to the contract. Now if you renounce contracts, it changes the owner of the contract to the zero address, so then it can't be delegated, but you would just have to delegate the contract first before you renounce it kind of thing. So like little things like that to like, oh yeah, we didn't think of that exactly, let's do it like
Okay.
that kind of thing. So it's
But
not
that
like
this okay, these were a lot of details about how to fix this on the back end, but you
right,
almost
and they're
glossed
very like
over something. Yeah,
or
you
continue,
almost
sorry.
glossed over something very, very interesting, which is self-repaying loans. So basically what you're saying is that if you have a five pass where there's a decent amount of burns on it, and you get an income from that. But for example, you have an income of on average, there's 100 XUSD per day, or well, let's go for that. But you need a lot of money, and therefore you say, "Hey, I would like to take a loan." So basically, you make a deal on the site or on these this place where you can take this deal, and you make an offer and say, "Hey, I lend you the use of my bypass for 5,000 XUSD, and then you get the use of my bypass until you get repaid a total of, I don't know, 6,000 XUSD or whatever. So the 20% is then the bonus, and after that entire 6,000 XUSD has been paid, you get your NFT back. Is that what you mean to do?
Yeah, exactly. Just like
Okay.
any other lending platform, you can, deposit tokens and then you can borrow other tokens and then you can get your deposited tokens back once you repay what you have borrowed. Um,
Of course.
and in this regard, it does it itself in a way. Like you
Yeah.
either just have to wait for the time, and it obviously has to be overpeg, for that time to actually, repay back that loan that you took. Um,
Hmm.
or you can repay back the loan yourself and then get your bypass back and get the rewards back from the bypass kind of thing. So I know like
Right.
a self-healing debt and is something Alchemy I think started, and like it's super
Yes.
interesting. I love that like whole concept. They actually use
That
like
was great. Alchemy did it great, but they
yeah,
used US Terra, and that was a
they
problem
did. Yeah,
eventually.
and they mainly revolve around using was it like urine finance or whatever, so like vaults
Uh-huh.
that are constantly increasing in value. Um, and these vaults are not like our vaults. Our vaults are LP token auto compounding vaults. Their vaults are
Hmm.
like single token vaults that are usually like staked in other lending platforms. Because lending platforms usually have a pretty consistent yield on it because people borrow and lend all the time, and um,
Fair enough. Yeah.
it will always increase the token. So I know like Yearn's concept is that the token number should always be increasing, and not decreasing. So it makes it easier for them to, for Alchemy to use those tokens as a way to create a self-healing debt platform kind of thing.
Hmm.
Um, and
Yeah.
so kind of inspired by that concept to make that into the bypass as well, because at
But
overpeg, it'll
better,
constantly
I
be
would
repaying.
say. But almost
Yeah,
better because it's the bypass. So basically, you don't necessarily need any collateral except for your bypass.
right,
Your
exactly.
bypass is your collateral.
Right, which is, I mean,
That
you've
is
invested
that's
into the
pretty cool.
bypass already, so that is essentially your collateral. And then on top of
Hmm.
that, the burns that you still do outside of that will still be accounted for on your bypass that is being, loaned out essentially.
Yeah. And then you get these choices like, hey, I want to give hand out this loan, but I will only hand out this loan to people who have so many burns on their pass, right? Because otherwise it's
Right.
going to take too long to repay. Stuff like
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
Oh man, that's
Yeah,
that's
it'll
a
be interesting how that
whole
kind
new avenue right there.
of. Yeah, so the overall the bypasses are meant to be pretty simple. Register your
Mhm.
burns, delegate rewards, and delegate the burners, I guess. Put it
Yes,
that way. And so it's pretty much done. We're just making sure that we're covering all the little aspects of it.
pretty cool, man. Um,
Oh, and
this
also
sounds like great innovation.
the image itself of the NFT is now all going to be on chain. So it's going to be an SVG format on chain, and it will update with your burn amount and your username. So you can always view it, and
Mm.
um it's not going to need to be on like a hosted platform, or like the interplanetary file system or whatever, because if it's on the IPS or whatever it is, it's hard to make it dynamic. Like you can't just change that image constantly, whereas it's easier to do that on like a hosted platform. Like if I host my own server, then we can always kind of update and change the images based on the amount of burns that you have. But there are problems with that, like the server can go down or it's and whatnot, and so then that image goes away. But now I have it so that the image is completely on chain and it's generated. The SVG is generated every time you call the token URI function call or whatever. So then it will update and even show your username and burn on the updated image every time you call it.
You know what I love about this is that to have this the way that you just explained, it's actually kind of a flex. But instead of saying it as it is, as this kind of a flex that it is, you explain why you did it and why the other system that's actually just worse, why you're not using that. Because the other system means that you're hosting a JPEG or whatever you're hosting on another site, and then the NFT will call forth that JPEG, and then oh, it's your NFT because you have a link, and then the NFT is just only the link. It's not the real thing. Whereas this, which you just explained, that's the real thing. And that's kind of a
Right.
flex. So
Yeah.
it's cool on its own without even the way that it's working, but you also have found utility for it. And I think that's pretty cool.
Right. Like in all honesty, I'm not the biggest fan of NFTs. Like you said, it's essentially the way, like, like a Bored Ape Yacht Club or whatever. Like, it's just you're buying something. You're just buying a link to an image, a JPEG. Essentially, you're not even really owning
It's just a
that
JPEG.
JPEG. It's a link to the JPEG. I mean, the JPEG
Yeah,
itself. Uh,
yeah,
and so on-chain SVG NFTs, you're actually owning that image in a way.
yeah.
And it has
Yes.
I
Yeah,
think
you
it has a
are.
much better utility in that regard, and it's more practical, and it's what NFTs should be. I think
Exactly.
personally.
I agree. Like I'm also like I approach NFTs from the DeFi side, and I think that NFTs should have a function. That's what they're for. Like they're not there to just be a JPEG. They are there to have a function, like something that you do with it, something that they do, like recording your burns, or giving you access to something, or making sure that I don't know anything really could even be connected to real world assets in the future.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, like I've even made an NFT before that essentially wraps like your tokens. So let's say you can wrap like four different Vault tokens into this one
mhm.
NFT, and then you can put that on a marketplace being like, hey, this is my trading position. So that you could either a copy it or buy that position and get the tokens that are all inside of the NFT itself. Um and so, like, in that regard, like, I always thought it was cool because you can have a marketplace full of other people's DeFi positions. And whoever's better would be a higher price.
Yeah. Um, Music M7, you've already answered him on his question, like just register your NFT to start collecting burns. I'm getting a waiting to register loading button. How can I fix this? And he now says, just a heads up, I'm still waiting for me, basically. But
Okay.
is this
Yeah,
something that you want to
I'll,
deal with
yeah,
now, or do you want to do it
I
after
have to
the
go and switch
AMA?
to my other side of the computer to do that. So we'll do that after the stream.
Okay. Okay. So Music M7, you this will be dealt with, but we won't do it in the AMA. Okay. Well, these are pretty interesting things that you've considered, or not just considered, that you're developing. I'm pleasantly surprised even. It's
Yeah, I've thought a
really
lot about it, I guess.
Yeah, but you're doing well. Like it's cool. I'm happy to be a part of this. No, it's okay, Music M7. It's fine. It's fine. But it will be dealt with. He says sorry for pushing for those people who are watching the show. Everything's fine. Um, so we've been going on for an hour. Is there anything that you would still like to share before ending this AMA? Like, is there something that you think is
I would just
important?
I would just like to remind people of the whole the vibes token itself. From the pump tire thing.
Yeah.
Most of the supply, or like not most of the supply, a good amount of the supply is in burn liquidity. A good amount of the supply is in fairly solid hands that are in XUSD, and they're using it for their vibe score. So, like a good thing about that token is that like there's a huge utility aspect behind like a meme token, which I just think is crazy. Or not crazy. I don't just do meme tokens, I guess. I have to add something to it.
It's
I'll
better.
make it useful,
Yeah.
right? And it'll be interesting to see the price impact of that token itself, because as more people enter our system, more people will be like, hey, that's an easy way to lower my vibes almost permanently. Like you don't even need to
Mhm.
like if you buy all of them, essentially, I guess if you if you buy like I guess more than the supply we calculated out yesterday, then you can have as many bad vibes as you want and you'll still be like locked at that 200 level kind of thing. So it's interesting to see how that token's going to increase in value over time because more people, as they enter the system, want an easy way to lower your vibes. Because currently it's like 1, 2, and like 3. Whereas if you buy 2 or 3 million, if you buy 3 million of the vibes token, you'll drop your vibes by 15 points. So it's
Yeah.
an easier way for them to lower the vibes and yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with it. I expect it to moon with our price as well, with XUSD.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
it's yeah, and because there's a lot of LP with it, it's going to constantly be burning XUSD along the way too, just through arbitrage and whatnot.
Yeah.
So it's exciting
Yeah.
to see what will happen with it. And it's a good
Hey,
showcase of the Vibe class system itself as well, and
hey,
what other developers could potentially see within our system as well.
yeah. No, most definitely. But this how many five tokens per 5 point does it
1
take?
million.
1 million.
Yep,
Okay.
and
Are
for
you
every
gonna put that
million,
on the front end somewhere? Like so that
yeah,
people know?
we'll have to put that up there somewhere.
Yeah.
Originally, actually, it would be on the voting page, and because it is in the Vibe class registry or whatever you want to call it, the storage contract, it reads it, and like when you make Vibe class to be included into system, there are an info section that you type in what
Mhm.
it does, and so then on the voting page, you can go and look and see all the approved Vibe classes and read what they do. So that's the original idea of like the voting page as well. So
Yeah,
we'll
it's
have
there
to
somewhere.
kind of fire that aspect back up.
Well, cool. All right. Um, I am very thankful for this AMA and for all of your explanations.
Yeah, no
And
problem. Always
yeah,
grateful to
I
be here.
am also yeah, it's like I'm also very happy with all the like the few questions that we got from the community and just the support in general. Um, and yeah, I'm looking forward to talk to you again.
Yeah. We'll talk to you next week, everybody. Signing out. And yeah, we'll see everybody next week. And music, I'll get right on that for you. Talk to you all later.
Bye bye.